Good evening. Today we'll be presenting on engaging instructional strategies for all, professional learning plan and professional learning presentation. My name is Tyrone Nathaniel. As I previously mentioned in our call to action, it is my belief that um, one of the things we can sufficiently arrest by doing better PL and engaging our teachers is we can arrest burnout at the earliest stages. As the data that I showed previously was that whenever there is an increase in frustration in teachers, it leads to burnout. As they get closer to burnout, PL goes out the window, and of course, student achievement is completely forgotten. What we're trying to do here is to engage our teachers in such a way that they experience less burnout as much as humanly possible and are then able to move forward and bring forth better educational outcomes for our youth and children. The purpose of this professional learning opportunity is designed to introduce engaging instructional strategies for our teachers. These strategies are introduced, modeled, and then practiced by all professional development participants. In order to allow time for practice, only three strategies are introduced in the PL. There will be more strategies introduced and included throughout the school year and in future learning opportunities, but for now, we're focusing on just these three. Everybody say three! Three! Teachers will complete a survey via Google Forms, give some feedback, and have their voices heard and inform future professional development opportunities. If I can just get this screen show to move. I'm sorry. There we go. One of the primary things that we're using as an instructional resource is the Lead Forward Strategies playlist. Also, since I work in SISD, we'll be using the curricular documents for SISD. One of the beautiful things that I like about Lead Forward is that it gives an idea statewide of what are the things that we need to be focusing on in the classroom. These resources are free and available to all, and they are made for your individual grade level. So please make sure that you look at and review your grade specific documentation. We do want to make sure that you can do so. And the link is in the PowerPoint, which we will be sharing with everyone. Teachers are going to use these instructional strategies to accomplish three main things: engage the students, provide practice without penalty, and encourage interaction and speaking. And then we're going to use this information to formally assess through a see and hear, through viewing student thinking. All right. We got to start out with something to break the ice, something to get it going. And this is something that can be done in the classroom setting as well. In this case, we're going to use a musical mix freeze group. We're going to have you move around the room while the music is playing. Once the music stops, you're going to form brief partnerships, answer the questions, or complete a short task with a partner in hand. Again, we're modeling this as teachers right now so that we get a hands on feel for this. Please play something that's appropriate, but we ask you to play something that the kids might actually be interested in as well. One of the things that I think we as teachers can do better is based on the population that we work with, we can know what they like. There are clean versions of the songs that these kids like. And if you play something that they're going to have some interest in, it gets a great amount of buy in. So please, teachers, I love me some Michael Jackson as much as the next person, but please, 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 let's see if we can bring something into 2000. Get some Drake, some Riri, some Baby, whatever works for you. And there's a link here for some of the music that I provided. But again, if sky's the limit. All right, question one. Name three states of matter and the properties of each. And again, we're discussing this in pairs. We're going to project this in the classroom so that once the music stops and everyone freezes, they're going to form these brief collaborative partnerships. Okay, as teachers, and as I'm doing right now while I'm introducing this to you, we're going to be moving around the room and engaging. If we see that our students are off task, we're going to gently redirect them back to the task at hand. Again, this is not a time for them to catch up from recess. What we're trying to encourage are collaborative partnerships. We want our students to be able to work with anyone. real world skills that we're trying to teach right now are collaboration and teamwork that will go beyond this classroom. All right. Next slide. Question 2, music stops. We're showing this rectangular links in a mirror, and then we're going to ask them to figure out what the perimeter of the mirror is. Again, brief collaborative partnerships. Make sure that the students are engaged and moving around the room. We do not, because as you know, kids will form clumps and clusters of their favorite friends. We want them to engage and interact freely. We want to take our children that are more intrinsically motivated and get them to meet up with some of our externally motivated or extrovertedly motivated students. All right. All right, music. Again, we have this table here. And again, I'm just giving various concepts. This can be applied in mathematics. We can use this in history. We can use this in any setting. These are just examples of ways we can do this. And we, again, are engaging the students. We're basically doing a soft assessment of what they already know. Using the information, because one of the major things that we have to make sure in scaffolding is that these kids are able to take their prior knowledge and skills and apply them now. Okay, that's how we're going to show fluency and mastery. Okay, so we're still doing this, and again, we're just modeling this as something that can be done. Here's the example right here. We're going to move on to the next slide. Here's another strategy that you can use. It's called the Texas two-step. Students help each other remember critical information associated with keywords, concepts, topics, and skills. And again, this is still from the Lead Forward website, which provides all of this information absolutely free. You do not have to sign up for anything. So we organize the kids into 2 lines, line A, line B, facing each other. You as the teacher walking amongst them are going to introduce an important word, a concept, a topic, a skill, or a question. As we go down the line, student A shows everything that he or she knows about the subject. They got 30 seconds. Bam. Next one, student B is going to add one more object or an idea that they know. Again, this is the power of a +1. This is the power of someone adding to what one person already knows. We are, again, in the background teaching collaborative skills, giving them the ability to bounce ideas off of each other. Okay? All right, once those 2 are done, we send them to the end of the line. 2 more move forward. And again, we're going back and forth. We do it with country music. You can do it with some Tejano, but again, we're doing this. And again, these are just ideas that you can use in your classroom to get some student engagement. Everything should not simply be an environment where the kids are sitting and you're lecturing the whole time. You want to do assessments that are non-threatening, that give the students a time. And again, once we go through this, we're going to flip it up so that line B is the one that's going to start answering the questions and giving first response. And then line A is going to add 2. Again, the power of a +1. So here's a potential one. Students discuss questions, and then partner A steps to the right, and partner B steps to the left. And, again, we're going down here. We're creating a productive discourse for our children, talking about, in this case, a food web. This is, again, applicable to our science lessons that we're doing. And, okay, what's at the bottom of the food web? And why is it the most important thing? What's at the top of the food web? Our kids are all wrestling fans. So you might have some kids that are able to recognize the apex predator from talking about Mr. Randy Orton himself. Something along those lines shows that they are able to make connections between what we're teaching them in class and real world concepts that they interact with on a regular basis. Uh-oh, hit the wrong one. Uh-oh, where did it go? There we go. Question 2. We've got a new partner. And again, we're using a history motif at this time. So, what Battle of the Texas Revolution is described above? It happened on this day. Surprise attack on Mexican forces resulted in the capture of Santa Anna. So again, our children are going to tell us everything that they know about this, and they should be able to know that this was, come on, somebody, the Battle of San Jacinto. Again, here's another one. We're doing math, and again, this can be done in any review. If you are an elementary level teacher where you're having to cover all of these things because you've got third graders and you're self-contained, this is a perfect thing for you. If you are, a middle or a high school teacher where you're teaching single subject, again, this is something that you can do, and we can make a day out of it if we get our leadership involved. You know what I'm saying? I'm using examples for an elementary grade level, because that was what was immediately available to me on Lead Forward. But there are examples for high school. I know right now in the state of Texas, our high schoolers, they're taking their EOCs. They're in biology, English 1 and 2, um, algebra, etc. This can be something that can be done as a formative review in order to give them and make sure that they know what they're doing. Okay. And again, I just want to reiterate, this works with any subject matter. Okay. Strategies three. This is called making the case. We're going to ask them to be the defense or the prosecutor. Okay. This is a soft form of debate. Or if you're in the high school level and you've got an actual debate class, this is an amazing thing. If you're a history teacher that is needing to teach your kids this concept in high school, this would be amazing for all that. But the students will defend or prosecute answer choices as incorrect, being guilty, or correct as being innocent. They'll be given multiple choices, assigned a letter, they'll huddle together, and in these groups, they're going to determine if their answer is correct, which is innocent, or incorrect, which is guilty, and then they've got to defend and or prosecute the answer. Okay, we want to make sure that we're not giving them just all right answers. We want them to be able to review the information and then be able to tell what works. Then, as we're watching them as teachers, we can clarify their arguments and to make sure that they are giving appropriate answers. Again, on our STAR testing, we are trying to assess, and mastery assesses not just that the student knows the information, but that they can take that information and make definitive leaps with it, and etc. You are trying to teach your students, to be independent thinkers, to have the ability to see information and to synthesize that information. Again, we're going through levels of taxonomy, and this is the highest level. Okay, going on to that next slide. Here's a question. Assign corners. We look at the question. Excuse me for this little bit of typo here. There we go. The question. Make a case for it. Okay. Which of the following caused the Mexican Revolution? We've got four groups of students. Everybody's going to defend or prosecute their argument. Okay. And again, for me, just talking personally, I teach history, and one of the things that I am having printed for my class next year is that history is the mythology we teach when the truth is inconvenient. And I want my students to be able to deep dive things. I want to be able to show this to them and have them understand that whereas the star is only asking for one of these answers as correct, um, there is some truth behind even some of these wrong answers. So we want to teach them how to find the best answer, but we also want them to understand that there are other answers that might have some truth in them and be able to prosecute or defend accordingly. Question two, assign corners again. Wanda traveled on an airplane. We can make this about Wanda Maximoff from the Avengers if we want to make it relevant to our students and something that they may have seen. And we want to see and ask, how many more miles did she travel in January and April combined than she traveled in September? Well, we need them to be able to, again, add up January and April and then be able to subtract from that. And again, we want them to be able to make these answers. We're teaching them how to use their computers, how to rely on other individuals, and to use the group mind in order to do and accomplish some great things. Again, here's another question, a little fuzzy. I apologize when I copy and pasted it. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. But and again, here's our survey. So these are all ideas that you as teachers can take to your rooms and that you can implement with your students. I went through this really quickly, but we're about to go ahead and do this now. Um, Forgive me, my wife wanted me to send something. but I want you to know that you can use this information and use this in your class. And remember, exit tickets. That's something our principal is very big on as proof of learning, evidence of learning. Have them fill out this, again, I'm having you do this to give me feedback, but we want you to do this with your students as well. All of our kids have cell phones. Let's use them and put that technology to good use. Okay. Are there any questions? Anything you want to go over? Anything you want to do? All right. Let me go over here. I'm going to show you an example of my form. If I can get this doggone thing to work. There we go. Sorry. Open. Here's my survey. Again, asking questions, wanting to see what strategy you would use first. Again, these are things you can do in your classroom to review. And then when you're lesson planning for upcoming weeks, you have something to spiral back to. Okay, kids were a bit weak in X, Y, and Z. I now know this, and we're keeping notes on this. Okay, so here's some information for you. Again, all the websites that I got information from, Lead Forward, all of that is here, and you have access to that information. I really do thank you today for your time and being such great participants. We're about to go ahead and model this so that everyone can do it. And again, remember, one of the things that we have to do is do this for duration. First couple of times you try these strategies, the kids may not be engaged. Some of y'all are going to be looking at me kind of crazy when we do this in a moment ourselves. But we're going to keep doing this in other professional developments. We're going to come in, introduce something, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay. And the more you do it, it becomes a part of the class. So when one of our goals is that by the end of the year, when you start playing a certain song, they hear it and immediately jump to, up, we're doing this, up, we're doing this, up, and they understand what's going on and what they need to do. Whether it's the music mix freeze group, the two-step, or the make the case, the music is going to be a key indicator to them that this is what we're doing. They can get their minds ready and get involved. Okay. Any questions or comments? Wonderful. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.